Hi, welcome back to Raising Communicators. Welcome to Module F2, How Speech Therapy Works. In the last module, we talked about understanding your child's diagnosis. Now we are going to pull back the curtain on what actually happens in therapy, what you can do at home to extend it, and how to navigate a system that can feel a little confusing from the outside. By the end of this module, you are going to feel like an informed, active partner in your child's therapy, not a passenger. So let's go. We are covering a variety of topics on today's session. I hope when we are finished with this session, you will feel educated and empowered. We're going to learn what a speech session looks like, home practice, six daily core language strategies, language practice in your daily routine, 3 therapy pathways, when to ask more questions, and why parent involvement changes everything. It looked like they were just playing with toys the whole time. So what were they actually doing in there? This is the question that every new speech therapy family will ask. And I want to start with the question that I'm asked most by the parents who are in therapy. What are they actually doing in there? Especially when they glimpsed through the window, it looked like we were just playing with a lot of toys. So let me pull back the curtain completely, because what looks like play to the untrained eye is actually a carefully structured therapeutic environment designed around principles of learning that are deeply supported by evidence. And once you understand that, you will never look at your child's therapy session the same way again. A typical speech therapy session has a structure, even when that structure is not fully visible. Your SLP enters with a plan built around your child's current goals, the data from the previous session, and what approach is most appropriate given where your child is in their learning. Sessions often begin with a warm-up or a transition routine, a consistent opening that signals to the child that we are in therapy mode. This might be a hello song for a toddler or a brief check-in for a school-age child. Then comes the core of the session, target practice. This is where a skilled SLP working with a 2-year-old looks like they are playing with a farm set. They are, and embedded in that play are dozens of carefully engineered opportunities to model the target vocabulary, elicit target sounds, practice target communicative function. The child experiences it as play. The SLP is counting trials. Data collection is happening simultaneously. Every time your child attempts a target, that attempt is counted. Did they get it right? Did they need prompting or help to get it right? This data drives the next session's plan and determines when a goal is met. Generalization means practicing the skill in different contexts, not just at the therapy table. And the home link, those final 2 minutes, is arguably the most important part of the session for you. For young children, play is the primary vehicle for learning, not a break from learning, but the context in which learning is most efficient and durable. When a child is engaged, motivated, and in a low-pressure environment, their brain is in the optimal state for acquiring new skills. When a child is bored, pressured, or anxious, learning is inhibited. This is why a skilled SLP working with 2-year-olds look like they are playing with a farm set. They are, and embedded in that play are dozens of carefully engineered opportunities. I also want to say different children and different goals call for different therapeutic approaches. For young children with language delay, naturalistic developmental approaches have the strongest evidence base. For children with speech sound disorders, more structured drill-based practice might be part of the approach. For children with apraxia of speech, high-frequency motor learning practice is essential. If your child's therapy looks different from what another parent describes, that is not necessarily a sign that something is wrong. It may be a sign that their SLP is appropriately tailoring the approach. Now let's talk about home practice, because here's the truth. Your child sees their SLP for half an hour to 1 hour a week at the most. The other 168 hours, that is you. And research is very clear that parent involvement and home practice are among the strongest predictors of therapy outcome. But the way home practice is typically presented to parents, flashcards, worksheets, structured sitting down sessions, is often the wrong approach. Let me show you what actually works. I want to be honest with you about something. When SLPs send home practice activities, we often ask too much. We send flashcard decks, worksheets, packets, and structured activities that assume parents have 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with a motivated child. In the real world, that scenario almost never exists. So today I want to replace the traditional homework model with something that actually fits your life. The most effective home practice happens not in a designated practice session, but embedded in the routines your family is already doing. Every day you have bath time, meal times, car rides, bedtime, getting dressed. Each of those routines is a therapy opportunity if you know what to look for. The key is to identify one routine and one target skill and marry them together. If your child is working on requesting, practice requesting during snack time. One routine, one target, 5 to 10 minutes. That is more effective than 20 minutes of drills at the kitchen table. Let me give you a framework of 6 core strategies. These are evidence-based, family-friendly, and they work across ages, across goals, and across diagnoses. Self-talk means narrating what you are doing as you do it. This provides a constant stream of language without any pressure on your child to respond. Parallel talk means narrating what your child is doing. This attaches language to your child's own experience and attention, the open window for learning. Expansion means taking whatever your child says and adding just a little more. The rule of thumb is to add one element beyond what your child produced. Not a full sentence, just one step further. Like dog might be big dog or dog bark. You get the idea. Modeling without demands means demonstrating the target language in context without requiring imitation. None of this say ball, just the model, offered naturally, repeated over time. Ball, look, I've got the ball. Mom has the ball. I'm going to throw the ball. Over and over again. Following the child's lead means resisting the urge to redirect your child to more educational activities and instead joining whatever they are already engaged in. And waiting. This is the strategy that most parents underestimate. And honestly, this one is even still hard for me sometimes. After a model or a prompt, wait with expectant body language. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? That was only like 2 seconds. But research says that 10 to 15 seconds is appropriate for children with language delays. That wait time feels uncomfortable, but it is worth tolerating. When your child makes any effort to communicate, this is my bonus. So this is we've gone through the 6 daily core strategies, but this is just a bonus. When your child makes any effort to communicate, whether it's to sign more or to give you a high five, any effort, even to say a word or to use a speech sound the correct way, whatever those wins are, celebrate those wins big. Whatever your child loves for reinforcement, if it's vocal praise, if it's clap, if it's high fives, if it's hugs, whatever it is, celebrate those wins big, because that's only going to encourage them to do that again and again and again. Let me walk you through each of these routines briefly, because the opportunities are everywhere once you start looking for them. Bath time is a treasure chest for language. You've got body parts, you've got action words, you've got cause and effect. We've pulled the plug and the water's going down, down, down. You've got sequencing, you've got sensory vocabulary. Ooh, it's warm, bubbly, splashy. Bath time's great. Meal times are full of natural communication motivation. Your child wants the food. Use that. Name everything. Offer choices. Talk about forks and spoons and expand what they say. Keep the pressure low and fun. Car rides are surprisingly powerful. No competing activities. You've got a captive audience. The window provides a consistently changing visual backdrop for commenting and for narrating. And I'm going to say this too, if you have a child who's working on speech sounds, this is a good time to practice in the car. If you have a few words on hand that you can practice, this is a good time for that. Because, you're in the car, right? And usually if you're just taking them to school, it's a pretty short ride. Bedtime with shared books is one of the highest leverage language activities available to you. We cover how to read for language in detail later in the language stimulation module. But reading, don't stop reading to your child, even if they act like they're not interested. Keep working on it. The key principle across all of these is you are not adding new activities to your day. Isn't that beautiful? You don't have to sit at the table for 20 or 30 minutes and pretend like you're, not wanting to beat your head against the wall. This is just something you can do every day at home or as you're going about doing your thing. No extra time required. That should be, as busy as everyone is, those words should be in gold, right? So the power of 3. This is another bonus I have for you. This is free of charge. For example, the power of 3. When modeling language from daily routines, think about modeling select words 3 or more times in a row. This is known as focused stimulation. This evidence-based strategy helps late talkers, as toddlers especially need to hear the word dozens of times or hundreds of times across different contexts to fully encode and use it. And honestly, if you have a child with a speech delay, this helps too with their sound. If they can just kind of hear it over and over and over again without you pressuring them to say it the correct way, it's a beautiful thing. But I'm going to give you an example. For example, when you're blowing bubbles, you might say up, up, up as you blow the bubbles. And when they come back down, you can say down, down, down as they fall. Bubbles are a great way to get language. Pop, pop, pop. You can make up songs with repetitive words. I once worked with a child who loved the kinetic sand. I would scoop the sand in my hand and I would let it fall in the box, often on the child's hand, and I would sing this song. The sand is falling, falling, falling. The sand is falling, falling down. One day, as I was singing the song, the child surprised me and sang some of it with me. Another bonus to making up silly songs. You know, if your child likes music with repetitive models or words in that music, it utilizes a completely different side of the brain, a completely different part. So it often makes the connection easier for them. And speaking from my own personal experience, I can remember lyrics from songs, from at least 10 songs from the 80s, because I listened to them over and over again. I may not be able to recall what I ate for breakfast yesterday, but if Love is a Battlefield comes on, I will sing every word of it. So, music is very powerful, and combining music with those repetitive words and the activity that you're doing, it's like a trifecta of power when you're working with these little guys. And I know some of you may be watching this and you're like, this is not me. I have school age children. Don't worry. Your stuff is coming. Your stuff is coming, I promise. Most families navigate multiple therapy systems and find them confusing. Let me give you a map. Early intervention is a federally mandated program from children ages birth to 3. Now, it depends on your state too. In Tennessee, we have increased ours to age 5. So it might vary by your state, but typically it's birth to 3. Services are provided in the natural environment. That could be the home, that could be daycare, just depending on the situation. But they are designed to support the family as the primary agent of intervention. They are often provided at low or no cost. The key thing to know, early intervention ends at an age. It's either 3 or 5 or whatever your state says. This transition is one of the most stressful experiences for families. Start planning for it at least 6 months before your child's 3rd birthday. And trust me, the early interventionists are usually on this. They're usually working that way before the child's 3rd birthday. School-based services are provided under IDEA. Children who qualify receive services through an IEP at no cost. Now, I am going to go back for 1 second to talk about early intervention. At that 3-year-old mark, your child could possibly be eligible to receive services in the public schools at age 3 or whatever the cutoff is. So it's not like at age 3 they're going to drop them like a hot potato and there are no other services. It really just depends on how much progress they make and what they're ready for. And they have different people looking at that. People from the school and people from the early intervention. They're all looking at that together and with you to make a decision about the best placement for your child. School-based services are driven by educational need. Your child must demonstrate that their communication difficulties are affecting their ability to access the curriculum. And school SLPs often have very large caseloads. 30 minutes twice a week is pretty common for therapy. I will say that even though this 30 minutes twice a week, 20 minutes twice a week, whatever the school offers, is typically in a group setting. So it's very unusual for a child to receive one-on-one therapy in the schools. If your school provides that, that's amazing, and I hope they do that. That's great. But most of the time they do not. Private therapy is offered outside the school system. A child can receive private therapy based on clinical need, regardless of whether they qualify for school services. In my practice, I had many children who would get therapy in the private practice, and also get it at school. They could do both. Many private insurance plans cover speech therapy with a diagnosis. And great telehealth has emerged as a genuinely effective option for many families. My personal opinion about teletherapy with little bitties, with your early intervention, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it can't work, but It definitely is a little bit harder than doing in-person therapy. In my own personal experience, I have found that school age children do much better with telepractice, telehealth therapy, and I've had great success using teletherapy with older kids. It's a great way to get services, especially if it's not available in your area for face to face. So, when to ask questions. Progress in speech therapy is not always linear. There are plateaus, there are regressions during periods of high stress or illness or, vacation, whatever. But there is a difference between a temporary plateau and a genuine lack of progress that warrants action. Signs that something may need to change. Goals that have not moved in more than 2 or 3 months. Sessions that feel repetitive in a way that the child is clearly not being challenged. A lack of carryover into daily life over an extended period. A therapist relationship that is not working. Therapeutic relationship quality matters for outcomes. I can't stress this enough. I'm going to tell you that I've had children. I've been in a clinic where I've had parents request me to work with their child. I've been in a situation where in a clinic, we had a girl on maternity leave, so I saw some of her children for a little while on her caseload. And when she got back, they were like, we want to go back to her. We like you, but we want to go back to her. It's fine. The thing is, what I've learned as a therapist is that not every child and every therapist mesh. It's just how it is. It's just like I don't mesh with every single person I meet in the world, so I can't expect that I'm going to mesh with every single child that I work with. I would say 99.9% of the time. I have a great relationship with the children that I work with and their families. I don't know if every therapist would agree with me on this, but I think children are very good judges of character, despite what everybody might think. And maybe you would agree or disagree, but I feel like children know who they can trust. I think children know when they're loved, when they're cared about, when they know that the person who's working with them wants the best for them. And I think that once that trust is built, then therapy is absolutely unstoppable. But if your child has a difficult time really meshing with their therapist, it's going to be hard for therapy to be successful. That's my opinion. Sometimes it can take a few sessions. If your child is super shy, don't just expect it's going to be an overnight, I love this person forever thing. It might take several sessions for them to warm up. But I do feel like most therapists I know are wonderful people, and they love children, and they want to earn the trust of the children so that they can have really successful therapy. If that's not happening, it's okay to ask for another therapist. Changing providers is absolutely allowed, and under most circumstances. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. And if you're at a clinic or a place where they say they can't be changed, I don't know. Maybe there's another place you could go. I would say for the most part, most people are very understanding about this, because it is true. We don't always mesh with every single person, and it works for children too. Maybe, and it could be something as simple as, I like the way this therapist room is decorated more than this one. I mean, it could just be something as simple as that. It's just strange how that works out. Let me put some numbers on this, because I think it really helps. Your child is in therapy for half an hour a week, maybe an hour, 2 if they have other needs that need to be met. That is an incredibly small window. Some school districts have the luxury of offering more hours, but that is less common than you might think. And some clinics may have that availability. Most clinics I know have waiting lists, and a child is never going to get more than 1 day a week. It's very rare. There are 168 hours in a week. That means 166 to 167 of them, your child is not in therapy. They are at home, in the car, at meal times, in the bathtub, at bedtime. They are with you, right? So research consistently shows that children whose parents are informed and actively practice at home progress 2 to 3 times faster than the children whose parents are not engaged in the process. Not because the parents are doing flashcards with them, right? No, we already know that's not the way. But because they are extending the learning into real life, which is where speech and language actually has to work. You are not a bystander in your child's therapy. You are the most important part of it. The 1 hour a week with the SLP is the training. You are the game. Okay, let me bring this all together. You now know what actually happens inside a speech therapy session. You know why play-based therapy is evidence-based and not just play. You have 6 core language stimulation strategies that you can start using today in routines you're already doing. You know how to read a therapy goal. You know the 3 therapy pathways and what each one offers. And you know when to ask more questions. Wow, you are starting to get empowered. So your action this week is very simple. Pick one daily routine, whether it's bath time, car ride, meal times, whatever feels most natural to you. Pick one strategy from the 6 that we covered. Self-talk is a great place to start because there is no pressure on your child at all. Use it every single day this week, just one thing, and then post in the community and tell us what you noticed. The wins and the surprises and the awkward moments where you forgot and then remembered. Hey, all of it is useful to us, right? As a quick review, here are just a couple of extra strategies and tips to use to support your child's communication development. Model language. Model it. Remember the power of 3 over and over and over again. Create communication opportunities. Sabotage things. Put things up high where they have to point or ask for it, right? Responsive interactions. Every time your child says something, respond back and expand on that, right? And then play-based learning. Play with your child. Oh, if I could just say one thing, play with your child. Play with them, play with them, play with them. Model what you're doing. Modeling what they're doing with language is so important. It's so great. Thank you so much for being with me during this session. The next session is all about you. That there are actually a few sessions in a row, and they're all about parents, parent care, understanding this journey, the whole 9 yards. So it's going to look a little different than this. It's going to feel a little different than this because it's a lot different. It's all about supporting you. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.